Hey everyone, this is Anshul Sadaria, Software Engineer 3 at Google.
And I'm Soumya, a software engineer at Red Hat and an educator. So Anshul, you have been associated with tech for some good number of years now.
7 years.
Right. So I wanted to understand, I'm curious to know what IDs have you used so far and which one is your favorite. And before that, assuming that we have a mix of techies and non-techies in our audience group, so let me explain them as well quickly what an IDE is. So IDE is short for integrated development environment, and it is a software that is used to develop other softwares, write code, etc. So basically we as software engineers use those IDs on day-to-day basis, and yes, today we'll talk about that. So yes, Anshul, which one is your favorite?
So if I talk about my current job profile, at Google, we don't use any of the open source IDs like IntelliJ or VS Code and IDs like that.
Yeah.
We have proprietary code editors IDs, so it is very much similar to VS Code, to be very honest. And to be fair, that is the only IDE I have used in the last 3 years. But if I take my relation back with computer science, like during my college time, some of the most loved IDEs of mine, and you need to promise me you're not going to make fun of me when I say that. Okay. They are Vim and Sublime Text. So those are the two most used IDEs during the college time by me. And apart from that, I also used, you must be aware about Jupyter Notebook, right? So for my research purpose, I use Jupyter Notebook now, like again and again, because like most of my code was written in Python. So that was I would not say it's an IDE, but that was the most frequently used, like those three were the most frequently used IDEs by me. And you can say VS Code, like a duplicate of VS Code, in fact, like at Google. Enough about me, like share your experience and relation with IDEs.
Sure thing. So since university days, I would say in 11th, I started coding in 11th grade only. So since then I have been using a mix of IDEs. I mean, do you remember Turbo and all we used to?
It was for C++, right? Turbo C++.
Right. I mean, oh god, the UI UX everything was so complicated. I mean, I don't know how we used it, but we did. So since then I have used around 5 to 7 IDEs overall. And yeah, I mean in university days, because I was a big fan of Java since the beginning, so I mostly have used Eclipse, IntelliJ, have tried a bit of Atom, all those stuff as well. And because I am very much into developing applications, so Android Studio is something I rely a lot on, though it's a heavy software. We'll talk about all those stuff later in the podcast. So yeah, I mean I have used a variety of them, and them have some are good for a specific domain, others are well suited for some other stuff. Yeah. So do you remember like last time we did the ranking of programming languages? It was quite fun, I mean for me at least.
So, it was fun for me as well, and I can't emphasize on the banter that we had while discussing PHP and all of that, yes.
Right. So let's do one thing. I mean, IDEs are so important for us, for coders. We can't obviously survive without it. Where will we write code, right? So let's do one thing. Let's do a ranking of all the IDEs we are familiar with. What say?
I mean, definitely, let's do it.
Yes, let's do it.
But let's tweak the tier list a little bit this time than the previous one. So tier 1, Superman IDs. Tier 2, grateful for these IDs. Tier 3, I don't care if these IDs exist or not. And tier 4, blah. I think it's very self-explanatory. We don't require those IDs at all.
Okay, let's get started. But before we deep dive into the video, make sure you check out our free masterclasses by industry leading experts. Link is in the description.
So let's get started with our first IDE. Are you excited?
Yes, I'm curious to see.
Okay. I think this is the one meant just for me. It is VS Code. Yeah. So I think if I wanted to share one technology with which I spend maximum amount of time in a day, it's going to be VS Code. Like the best feature which I love about VS Code is the IntelliSense feature. It just knows what code I want to write next and suggests the same to me. Then code suggestion, then the productivity. I can debug. There are so many breakpoints available with VS Code. The productivity is increased because of this. And one underestimated feature, it's the themes which are provided by VS Code, because as developers we know how much we are hooked onto a theme which we love a lot. Because if the dark theme was not there, I'm not sure how I would be able to code right now. So that is one thing. And one important stuff is that it's lightweight. So if I compare with other IDEs which are for dedicated languages, like IntelliJ or PyCharm and Eclipse and so on, it's lightweight compared to them. Obviously, I'm not comparing it with Vim or Sublime Text, but yeah, it's lightweight and it has multi-language support as well. So I think from my side, it's a Superman IDE.
Right, I agree to almost all your pointers. It's very lightweight as compared to those full-fledged IDEs, but somewhere it can consume a lot of system resources, especially if you install a lot many extensions and plugins. Because I myself, to boost productivity, keep a lot many extensions for those small tasks. Like to convert some data, some raw data into JSON, etc. From JSON to Kotlin class, Java class. So I think when you keep lot many extensions, somewhere it might slow down. But I completely agree that for developers like us who use that software on daily basis, these extensions are very, very handy. And VS Code comes with a huge, robust ecosystem of plugins. So indeed, it's awesome. So where do you think we should rank it?
I think the Superman tier, I feel it's a Superman level IDE.
Cool. So let's put it there only, because I know many developers rely on it. So here we go, VS Code in the Superman category.
So glad that you pointed out the plugin aspect as well, because like I remember the first time I onboarded to VS Code, as a beginner I was quite overwhelmed with so many extensions. So it can cause a steeper learning curve as well for beginners. So I think definitely those are some points which are like to be considered.
Yes, and yes, Superman, VS Code.
Moving on to the next IDE.
Okay, cool. It is Eclipse. So it is one of the most popular IDEs for Java people, and because Java has been my favorite language, so in the past I have used this IDE a lot. When I was doing my 6 month of software engineering internship as well, so that time my mentor Stefan Appadar, he recommended that okay, go ahead with this IDE, it's quite cool. He asked me you can either go with Eclipse or IntelliJ, but yeah, that time I chose to go with Eclipse. Overall experience was awesome. It has again lot many plugins which was very useful for people like me. Let's say if you have to create Pojo class and you have a huge set of data. Pojo you might be not knowing perhaps. Pojo is like data class, right?
Okay.
Let's say you have API, you have a huge set of JSON data, and you want to convert it into data class. So manually doing it is a bit difficult, especially if the JSON data is very large. So in such cases, these extensions are very helpful, right? So yeah, my overall experience with this IDE was good, but again, as compared to NetBeans or IntelliJ, such IDEs, I wouldn't prefer to use this in 2023. But that time, I have used it, and it wasn't very bad experience, okayish experience I would say. I had neither too bad or good moments with this IDE. I just completed the project with the IDE, so yeah.
I have a very contrary experience to what you might have had.
Okay.
So recently I was about to start one project, and that required me, it was Java development heavy. So I either had the option to go ahead with IntelliJ or Eclipse. I was facing some data dependency issue with IntelliJ, like the versioning of Java.
Okay.
So my mentor recommended me that Eclipse is a better fit if you want to check on the dependencies and everything. So I just downloaded Eclipse and opened it for the first time. The boot speed of Eclipse is worse. It's a lot bad as compared to IntelliJ or NetBeans also. I have not used NetBeans a lot, but I think Eclipse, it's one of the worst boot speeds for heavy projects. And secondly, what happened with the UI of Eclipse? It's so outdated.
Right.
If you look at the UIs or themes provided by some of the JetBrains product, like IntelliJ or PyCharm as well, they are so amazing UIs which help me or other developers to increase their productivity as well. So you want to work with those IDEs, but I never feel like opening these IDEs like Eclipse at all. So I remember that meme, the baby comes running it gets shocked and then it goes running back. So I had a similar experience with Eclipse, and I just closed it and deleted it forever.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's why I said I used it a lot in the past, but not in 2023. I mean, obviously, it's the UI UX overall is a bit complicated. So, in which category should we keep it?
I don't care.
Okay.
No, not that I don't care about the category.
Right.
I don't
we
care.
should put it in the third
Yes,
category, that
yes,
is, I
yes.
don't care. Cool, let's do it. Okay, so this time, I mean, we are coming on some mutual agreement. Okay, let's put it here. Last time it was so contradictory. So, yeah, cool.
Moving on to the third IDE for the discussion. Wow. I think people want the world to burn. Just after I was talking about Eclipse, the third IDE is IntelliJ. So we had a sort of banter regarding Eclipse and IntelliJ, like I discussed earlier as well, that
Right.
I had to choose between Eclipse and IntelliJ. So it's pretty straightforward. I am going to be pro IntelliJ over here. I have mentioned some of the advantages of using IntelliJ. Having said that, I love how IntelliJ is a one-stop solution. Okay, like similar to VS Code, it is plugin rich. Okay, you don't need to step out of IntelliJ at all for any of your requirements. You code there, code refactoring is there, intelligent code sense is also there, like it gives you so many code suggestions.
Right, and that's my favorite as well, intelligent code completion.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So I am writing a lot less code nowadays and solving larger chunks. So it saves a lot of my time with that with those things as well.
True.
Having said that, I think the main issue that it faces is it occupies a lot of memory, which makes it slow for heavier projects. So that is something which, I mean, there is no other option because like it's creating softwares, so it's going to be naturally heavy. But that is something where there is a scope of improvisation. And apart from that, its integration with version control is also seamless. Like you just write code there is a terminal integrated with it. You can just
True.
test code over there, write your unit test, test it over there itself and push it to production in the same window. So that's just brilliant.
Right, and the way they have integrated Git and everything, version control in the IDE, that's just awesome. And my favorite also include the quick fixes, the real-time, error reduction, everything that it offers. So indeed, I mean, nowadays I'm heavily relying on this only, IntelliJ only. And apart from that, I mean, yes, I mean, I will reveal other IDs that I'm using once we go on to more, unlock more of these categories. So yeah, I mean, which category do you think we should put this in?
I think I would love to put it in the Superman category, but having said that, like if I were to compare VS Code and IntelliJ,
We are grateful for having this.
yeah, we are grateful for having this, but IntelliJ is more robust towards Java environment and Java frameworks.
True.
Whereas I would say VS Code is more like it has a better multi-language support. So just for those particular differences, I would say like we can put it in the second tier.
Cool. That is, we are grateful to have IntelliJ, and truly, I mean, I myself have, because I'm building most of those big Java projects like Quarkus, etc. We are running all those here only. So yeah,
Awesome.
It's a good category. Yeah.
Let's go on to the next one.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, I'm not going to show this to you. I want you to guess. It's your favorite IDE.
Is it Android Studio?
Definitely, it is Android Studio. And I
Awesome.
think this was meant for you only.
Yes, it is, because I mean, using this software, using this IDE, I have created hundreds of mobile applications.
Wow.
I mean, like I have started using this with 2 GB RAM laptop as well.
I remember that meme of yours which you had put in. If you are a user of Android Studio, please don't install it in a 4 GB RAM. That was one of your tweets I remember long time back.
Right. So I mean, it's quite heavy software actually, and if you open it up on low storage system hardware, then obviously it will not work properly, because it is having so many features, so many stuff. It's a software using which we are creating other applications, software. Somewhere, I mean, they are working, the Android team, the Android Studio team is working on optimizing stuff. But yes, I mean, it comes from the IntelliJ developer only. I mean, it's their product only. So, I mean, yeah.
So if just one question, like if you were to compare between IntelliJ and Android Studio, which one has the better performance?
I mean, performance-wise, obviously IntelliJ is better,
Right.
but because see, I have a smooth experience of working with Android Studio because I use it on a good laptop. I mean, if you have good storage, enough of a storage, it will work properly. If you open it up on 2 GB, 4 GB RAM laptop, obviously it will not perform well because we have emulator as well in Android Studio. I mean, if you don't know, so emulator is kind of virtual mobile phone. Let's say if you are making some application and you want to test how exactly that performs in actual mobile phone, right? So you can just run the app on emulator. So all these things require a lot of storage space, etc. So it's recommended if you are going to use Android Studio in your laptop, you should have enough of storage, at least 8
16
GB.
GB will work?
Yes, officially, like they have written that 16 GB, with 16 GB you will have a smooth experience.
Right.
But I mean, to get started with, because many university students are there, they don't have 16 GB RAM laptop, etc. To get started with, you can start with maybe 8 GB as well.
Perfect.
But I mean, the experience will not be as smooth as it will be if the storage is more. So yeah, I mean, you can imagine I did on 2 GB RAM laptop, and rest is history. But I did.
What year was it?
I think first, I mean, I was in first or second year of university, that is 2017 or something.
I see.
Yeah. So I mean, way back. But I continued creating apps on that machine only for quite long. But when I started getting money out of this skill, then I bought new laptop, etc. So yeah, so I think I'm grateful for this software.
Definitely. I think for Android Studios, it's a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
So let's put it in the second category. Cool?
Awesome. Awesome.
Perfect.
Let's move on to the next one.
Yes, sure.
Okay. I will give you a hint. Are you a Python developer?
No.
Why not?
PyCharm?
Yeah, it's PyCharm.
Okay, cool. Have you used it?
I have not used it, like as I told you before, like in my college time, I was a fan of Jupyter notebooks. Then I moved to IPython notebooks as well. So I learned about PyCharm when I was writing some code in IPython notebooks, and I had to integrate it for productionization. So I learned about PyCharm at that moment. It has so many rich features. Like if you are a Python developer, you don't need to get out of this application at all.
Right, and I remember, I mean, in your, like everywhere you have mentioned as well, that
Everywhere?
I mean, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, all those platforms, you have mentioned that you did some research, etc. as
Correct.
well. You were very much into AI, machine learning, etc. And for those domains, I guess Python is a must. So why did you not use this? I mean,
No one told me. I didn't have a good mentor like you are for a lot of students. So no one told me about PyCharm at that time. So it's a fault on my side. I never tried to look for something better. And yeah, I mean, to talk a bit about PyCharm in detail, like you must know Anaconda is a package manager. Like you can just create virtual container sort of thing, and
Right,
all the
right.
dependencies are integrated into Anaconda environment,
Right.
like Conda environments. So it has seamless integration with Conda. It has so many seamless integrations with other Python frameworks like Django, Flask, and so on. So whether you are a web developer, PyCharm is the solution for you.
right.
You mentioned I was into AI, machine learning, deep learning, and all those sort of things. So PyCharm has amazing integration with scientific libraries like scikit-learn and TensorFlow and like PyTorch and so on. So this is integrated with those libraries as well. So it becomes a gift for you if you are a Python developer. You don't need to like look for any other solution.
Right, but I think, I mean, I have read somewhere that PyCharm is a bit, difficult for beginners to grasp, and I mean, the learning curve, while let's say you open up a project on this IDE, so the IDE is so much overwhelming. I have heard somewhere, I myself haven't used PyCharm too much because
Right.
I don't write much of code in Python. I guess I only contributed to few open source projects using Python language, but not much. I mean, Python is obviously very easy language. If you know Java, Kotlin, C++, then you can indeed write code in Python as well. So I did contribute it. I used PyCharm for a very small period of time, and for me it was very, the UI UX was a bit complex kind of. But obviously, I mean, let's say if you code there for a long period of time, you get habitual to that. Like I was using Eclipse for long period because I was habitual, but when you open it for the first time, it's quite overwhelming.
Let's not talk about Eclipse at all over here.
Okay.
PyCharm also, like if you compare it with IntelliJ, it's the same product. Like the developers are the same. It's
Right.
created by JetBrains.
Right.
So all of the features, be it plugins, extensions, the UI, everything is going to be the same. And that comes with a ban as well. Like
Right.
it comes with the disadvantages as well. That it requires a lot of boot up time. If you are going to create bigger applications, heavier applications, it's going to be quite memory intensive.
Right,
So
right.
those are some of the issues that comes with PyCharm.
All right, so which category is good for this one according to you, PyCharm?
I think for Python developers, they should be really grateful to have this.
True. So let's put this in the
Second category.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Let's move. Oh, we are already halfway down the stage.
Wow.
We have 4 more left.
Okay,
Let's go ahead with the next one.
sure.
Okay. I see. It's the building block of the universe.
Atom. Okay.
It's not nucleus, yeah, it's atom.
Yes, I was like nucleus. Okay, cool. So, it's a popular open source text editor by GitHub.
Glad that you mentioned it. Like over here, we are discussing about the IDEs.
Right.
So I'm not sure if I would entirely put Atom into a IDE category because it's more of a code editor rather than a IDE.
Right. I installed Atom for opening up one specific project, and I uninstalled it the next day.
I mean, I tried out a few text editors during my time as well. Like
Yeah.
Atom was one of them. Then Nano, if you have heard about it, Nano is also one of the text editors, code editors that I have used. Emacs is one of them.
Okay, these are new names?
No, these are not fond memories of mine. So
Okay.
yeah, obviously, I really don't care about Atom being there or not because I was a Sublime text lover.
Right. It's though lightweight because it don't has so many extensive features, the plugins that those full-fledged IDEs like IntelliJ IDEA, Eclipse, etc. has. So it's kind of good for some small-scale project maybe, and I think it cannot be compared with those IDEs which we used on day-to-day basis for the big projects like Eclipse, etc. Not okay. I won't name Eclipse, IntelliJ instead.
Yeah.
Okay, so. I think we can put this in which category? Don't care?
I don't care. You can put it in the 3rd category, you can put it in the 4th category as well.
Okay.
I honestly don't mind, but I think I have used it, so I should not be so harsh on Atom altogether. So I would go ahead with the 3rd category.
Yeah,
for this
because
one.
at the end of the day, it provides the basic IDE functionalities, language support, everything. So it's good for a small scale project, and we will put in 3rd category.
Yeah. You can use it for small scale projects, but I'm going to use Sublime text only.
Okay. Here we go in the 3rd category. Perfect.
Awesome. Let's go on to the 7th one now.
Yes.
Wow.
Your
Like-
favorite somewhere.
Yeah, I mean IntelliJ was after Eclipse and Sublime Text is after Atom. So I was just talking about how Sublime Text is better as compared to Atom. And here we go. So I think Sublime Text is one of the most used text editors or code editors, to put it into better words. It's not an IDE as to say, because like I would say VS Code is an IDE.
True.
In Sublime Text, I remember like in the college time, we used to just write some code, save it, go to the terminal, build it, and then
Right.
we used to run it. So that's a lot of hassle, and that's because it's not a integrated development environment, right? Some people would have a different thought. They would belong to a different school of thought because they would say there are plugins available, but as compared to some other rich IDEs like VS Code, IntelliJ, PyCharm, and so on, the plugins are not so useful. Because if you were to use plugins, then why not use VS Code or IntelliJ or something like that,
Right.
right? So do you remember, have you used Sublime Text?
Yes, I have used Sublime Text. It's easy to use, but as you said, it's not a full-fledged IDE. One thing which I don't like much about Sublime Text is Like though they provide free trial for lifetime, but at the end of the day it's a commercial product. I mean, they encourage you somewhere to purchase license, and that can be, you know,
Exactly. I mean, regarding that only, I used to get so much irritated. Like I am just writing some code, and in the middle of it, they're like, buy the premium version, buy the commercial version.
Right.
I'm like, dude, let me code.
Right.
Right. So
That
is
somewhere
true.
hampers the experience.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like due to the lack of plugins, it's quite lightweight. So if you want to open complex projects, like I remember one time where I had almost 100 to 200 files open on Sublime Text at one go.
Oh.
Okay, and it didn't worry at all. Like it was running so smoothly. I can't imagine Android Studio running in that capacity.
Obviously
at all.
not. Obviously not.
Right.
So which category is good for this? I think
third category is fine because like I would not say it's a full-fledged IDE first of all. So I mean
Okay.
I don't really care at this moment, but I think the college students might be grateful to it. But
right.
for
I
me,
mean, I also had a good experience using this, but now that we are in the IT industry, tech industry, we can't rely on this.
correct.
Right. So third category is good for this. I'm thinking which one will go in the fourth category.
I think you might be quite close. Let's see. Let's
Yeah.
move on to the next one.
Yes. Let's go.
Oh my God, I have not heard this one since ages. It's NetBeans. I'm
Okay.
not sure what was the last time when you heard about this IDE.
I mean, it's actually a good software, a good IDE or software, whatever you call it, because it provides a vast variety of features that helps you, that help you build software in the entire, software life cycle. I mean, it has all the features from scratch if you are going to develop a software till testing and everything. It provides a bunch of features to the developers, to the users, so it's quite handy there. And I would say like it's somewhere clean as compared to other complex IDEs, like we talked about Eclipse. If you open it up, you might run away.
I
that
won't
okay.
open it. I won't open it.
Okay, you won't open it at all. So talking about this one, NetBeans, it's simple to.
So is it just for Java? I mean, I am not too sure. I have not
I
even
mean-
Googled about it.
Right. I mean, it's specifically people say that it's very handy for Java developers because it has a lot many features dedicated to Java folks only. But apart from that, you can indeed code in any other language as well. The PHP folks. Okay, I remember you don't like PHP. Let me not take the name. So PHP developers or web developers, such people can also use NetBeans. But nowadays, somewhere the popularity has dropped down.
We can say once upon a time NetBeans had its own era.
Right. I mean, there would be huge fan of this still as well. I mean, in the audience as well, you can get 1-2 people, many people
One,
as
two
well.
people.
I mean, it depends, like I have been using Eclipse since so long, even though it wasn't that great. So it's about habit. If you are
Correct.
comfortable using any IDE, any software, then it's up to you. So I would say we can put it in.
I have a funny
Fourth?
experience. I have a funny experience that I wanted to share.
Okay,
So once upon a time, like not once upon a time, like in the college time itself, my friend told me he wanted to get started with NetBeans, and
Okay.
he was trying to coerce me to try and follow his own suit.
Okay.
I was like, I'm fine with Sublime Text. You go ahead and install NetBeans and let me know how was your experience.
Yeah.
So after 3 to 4 months, I used to see him every day. He was scratching his head. So I was like, what's happening? He's like, man, my NetBeans is crashing again and again. It's not able to bear the capacity at all.
Okay.
So I mean, that's a very frustrating experience for developers. You are developing something and it crashes in between.
That's true.
That is something I would never like.
Right. I mean, the only thing I liked about it is the clean layout, the clean menu, all those options that provide a distraction-free environment for coders to code.
So does a white background. Right? I mean, this is literally a blah ID.
Okay, you want to put it in fourth category?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you are going to hurt many people who use it, but
I mean,
yes.
that's definitely my opinion. But I
Right.
don't see anyone in my even the second circle or third circle also. The third connections, the third level connections. I have never heard about NetBeans in a long time.
Right.
Last time I saw my friend scratching his head, that was it about NetBeans.
Right. I mean, nowadays, if you ask developers, coders, which ID, either like IntelliJ, VS Code, these are, I think, most popular ones.
Correct.
Apart from that, depending upon the domain you are in, like,
Correct.
let's say if you're developing apps, Android apps, then Android Studio is the go-to, PyCharm for Python folks. these are the popular ones. Somewhere NetBeans has not gained that popularity.
Like the developers just stopped improving the IDE altogether. I feel like they just gave up to IntelliJ, Eclipse, and the other Java-oriented IDEs.
Right. So perfect.
Let's move on to the last one.
Okay, cool.
Wow. I'm going to take this ahead with me.
Okay, let me guess. I'm not sure. Give me some hints.
Vim.
Okay, Vim.
No other hints. It's Vim, like the first code editor or IDE you would say. You know, this was the first one that I used. Like my seniors introduced this to me, and I never understood why they introduced Vim to me. Okay, I mean now that I look back, I can only use keyboards. Okay, I cannot use mouse with Vim. Okay, there is you cannot say there is anything related to graphical user interface at all. Okay, and a lot of times I just used to bang my head on the wall just because I forgot to press I for the insert mode. You know,
Right.
like we had to go to the insert mode and then you had to type
Right.
something.
So Vim has limited mouse interaction.
No mouse interaction.
Okay.
Why would you use mouse?
Only keyboard.
Yeah,
for,
only keyboard.
I haven't used Vim actually.
You are a lucky person. Definitely. But on the other hand, having said that, because of all of those limited features, it's super fast. It's like brilliantly fast. You can customize it a lot, like the UI, the key bindings and everything, you can customize it a lot. But having said that, I really want to ask my seniors now, like I'll call them today and ask
Why
them
they recommend
why did they like push for Vim in the beginning. I think they wanted me to suffer so that I appreciate the other ideas that are coming down the lane, you know.
But like I have heard like people who use Vim, though it's kind of difficult to work with, but it has again if you ask people why you are still using, so because maybe they have wide variety of plugins, etc.
They don't have a better RAM perhaps.
Okay, might be. I mean, okay, so it's easy to use even if you have a low RAM device, but
Correct.
again it's difficult.
To be honest, like why I loved Vim was it gave me a feeling of a developer.
Yeah.
You know, you had to type in everything, there is no mouse usage. So I felt like a hacker, you know, those movies where they're just typing ta 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 ta.
Right,
So
right.
it literally gave me that feeling, and that was the reason why I stuck with it for a long time. But then I migrated to Sublime Text, and then rest is history.
Right, I mean, right. So in which year did you use it, Vim?
Vim, 2016, I guess.
Okay,
Like
cool.
the first year of my college, perhaps I dropped it around 2017. Like right now also, like if I am getting started with a new system, if I am buying a new system, Vim is going to be the first text editor or code editor I'm going to install if it's already not. Okay,
interesting.
just to get started with it.
You hate it, but you love it.
Yeah, I am in kind of a toxic relationship with it. Right.
That's cool. Okay, so I think from my end, fourth category is right for it? No?
Definitely, I mean,
Okay, cool.
I really need to call my seniors.
Okay, 1 second. Yes, here we go. Perfect.
I guess we are done then.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed this fun banter discussion about different IDEs and code editors, and I really hope the feelings of no Eclipse developers were hurt during this video.
And yes, let us know in the comment section below which one is your favorite ID. Which one are you using right now? Like I heavily use IntelliJ IDEA and Android Studio nowadays. So yeah, let us know in the comment section which one are you using.
So if you enjoyed this content, make sure you like this video and share it with as many developer friends of yours as possible.
And subscribe for more such insightful content.
And don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you never miss out notifications for such amazing content.